Hello friends, welcome back. So today we are going to discuss about prototype model in SDLC lifecycle. So before previous video, I have already told you that what is waterfall model, what is spiral model. So now today we are going to discuss what is prototype model. So as the name says that prototype means we have to duplicate one model, right? We have to duplicate one model from the main model. So how? So what is the prototype model? Basically, prototype model is a dummy model which the web developer or content developer can build. Prototype model is a dummy model which web developer or content developer can build. How? Where they they convert the text format to the image format, right? How? So now I'm giving you one example. Suppose client have given us some requirement. Client has given us some requirements like that. Some requirements are given by the client. Now, what our developer or our content developer, what they will do? They will convert all the text format to the image format. Means how it's look like. Suppose suppose client has given some requirements like we have to build an login page. Okay, so login page functionality, the requirement has been given by the client. Now what our web developer or content developer will do? They will just create a they will just create a
like that. They will just create a web text format to the image format, like how the software will looks like. Okay, so that is, suppose this is username, this is password, this is login button, this is the image format, and this is the text format. So the client has given us to the client given us to the text format, but our content developer or web developer, they will convert the text format to the image format. Okay, by using different tools like Adobe Photoshop, like Paint. So they will convert the text format to the image format. So that is called a prototype model. That means basically prototype model is a dummy model where the web developer or content developer, they will develop that thing where they convert the text format to the image format by using different tools like Adobe Photoshop, Paint, Picasa, etc, etc. So that is called a prototype model. Okay, now why we go for the prototype model? That is, many model are there like waterfall model, spiral model, but why we go for this prototype model? Because I will give you three lines. I will give you 3 points. First, when customer are new to the business. When the first point is when customers are new to the business, means they have no previous knowledge that how the software will be look like, how the business will be grow. They don't have any knowledge. They have just come to the market and they want to make a software to any company. That means the customers are new to the market. The customers are new to the business. That time we need a prototype model, because as
so if he give me the text format requirement, and based upon the text format requirement, if we develop that thing and if I submit that software to the client, maybe that will be not be understandable by the client. So that's why, to make sure that as per the client requirement we are working, so we will create a dummy model, we will create a prototype model. That's why when you go for the prototype model, first point, when I am giving you all the notes, first point, what is that? when when the customers are new to the business or new the market, then we will go for the prototype model. Now, second point, when the requirements are not clear. When the requirements are not clear, then we will go for the prototype model. Suppose, let's say, client has given some requirement to us, but suppose they have given us 100 requirements. Okay, but 20 requirements are not clear by us. Then we will go for the prototype model to make sure that all the requirements are satisfied, which we are covered, that is satisfied with the client's requirement. Then we go for the prototype model. Means when the requirements are not clear, then we go for the prototype model. The third point is when the domain will be new for the developer. The domain will new for the developer. Means suppose one developer is there in my project that he know the language of PHP. Now the another needed for the language is that, let's say, Java. Okay, so the domain is not clear by the developer, is new for the developer. So that time the developer will develop a prototype model to make sure that everything is working fine. So that time we will go for the prototype model. So there are 3 points are there, 3 key points are there. Then when we go for the prototype model, first is when the customers are new to the business or the customer are new to the market. That is the first point. And the second point is that when the requirements are not clear. And the third point is the domain will new for the developer. When the domain will new for the developer, then we go for the prototype model. Clear? Okay. So now next point is that the phases of prototype model. Okay, how the prototype model will work. What are the phases of that? So I'm giving you all by step. Let's say, so I am creating one new. Fine. So what are the steps are there? Now same step will follow just like waterfall model or spiral model. What is the first point is that? The first point is that requirement collection. The first point is that requirement collection. So this is the requirement collection. First point is the requirement collection. Means the company's BA or company's PA, mean business analyst or product analyst, they will collect the requirement from the customer. Okay, so this is the first step is that requirement collection. Then after requirement collection, what will happen? After requirement collection, feasibility study will be there. So what do we mean by feasibility study? Is that software is feasible to develop in our company, or is the software is feasible, like the costing, the domain. So everything we will study in that feasibility study step. Feasibility study. We have already discussed this feasibility study in the waterfall model also. So you can follow from them. Now the second phase is that feasibility study. Now the third step. What is the third step? Third step is nothing but design and development of the prototype. So our feasibility study is done. Now we have to develop the prototype model. So the third point is that design and development. Just 1 second. Design and development of prototype. Of the prototype. Type. What is that? Design and development of the prototype. Now When the feasibility study is done, then we will design and develop the prototype. So at that phase, what will happen? At that phase, let our content developer or our web developer, they will convert the text format to the what? The text format to the image format. Image format. So our content developer or our web developer, they will convert the text format to the image format. So that is the design and development of the prototypes. So who will do that? Our web developer will do that. Web developer. Our web developer will do that. Okay. So now the third phase is done. That is design and development of the prototype. Now what we will do for the next step? We have to test that prototype design. That means the next step is that prototype testing. Prototype testing. In that phase, which is development in the prototype model, so that development we will test in the prototype testing phase. Okay, so we have to test that how the developer will convert the text format to image format and how it's look like, what is the functionality of that. So we will test that. So that is the fourth point, is that prototype testing. In the prototype testing, who will do that? Who will do the testing? Our test engineers are there. Test that. Will do that. Test engineers. Test engineers. Test engineers are there. So they will test that. And if the test engineer is find any defect, suddenly what they will happen? What they will do? They will just contact with the design and development team. If they find any defect, if they find any defect or bug, then obviously they will contact with the design and development team, will make that prototype. Okay, if they find any defect. Okay, now if if they doesn't have any defect, any issue, then what will be the next point? The next phase is that, what is that? That is the customer review. You have to find is that customer review. Customer review means after prototype testing, we have to send that prototype model to the customer for the review. If the customer found any defect, then suddenly they will contact with the development team, right? If they found any defect. But if they agree, if they agree, let's say if they agree, if the customer is agreed with the prototype model, then what is the next phase? The next phase will be that design, means main design will be started, right? So that is design. Now this is the prototype design and this is the main design. So if the customer is agree with the prototype design, then we have to make the main design. Okay, so we have to make the main design. So if the designing part is done, now same as waterfall model, then we have to go for the coding or implementation. Coding. Now if the coding is done, then what the second part? What is the next? Next is that testing. We have to test that. Testing. Is that okay? Now testing is done. After testing, what will be the next phase? Installations and deployment. Same as waterfall model. Installation or deployment. Installations or deployment. Right. Now After installations or deployment, what is the next phase? Simple, maintenance. We have the maintenance phase is there. Maintenance. Maintenance. Now, so that is the steps or stages of prototype model. So what is happening here? First, we have to collect the requirement. Requirement means our company's business analyst or product analyst, they will collect the requirement from the customer. Okay. So how then the feasibility study will be done. Then the feasibility study will be start. So after feasibility study, if everything is okay, then we have to go for the prototype design and development phase. So after prototype design and development, in the what will happen in the prototype design and development phase? Our web developer, they will convert the text format to the image format, right? Then after prototype development, then the next phase is that prototype testing phase. Then after prototype testing, we have to send that prototype model to the for the customer review. So if the customer is agreed with that design, then obviously we will start the our main design, that is nothing but design. So after design, after that all the phases look like a waterfall model. So after design, the next part is the coding. Then after coding, testing. Then after testing, everything is working fine. Then the installations and deployment. Then the final step is that maintenance. Right? Is that clear? So it's look like that. So it's look like this. Customer review, then design, then coding, then testing, then installation, and then maintenance. So now how this all prototype model work? So I will give you one very basic example. Let's say, let's say I'm giving one very basic example to for easy to understand. Let's say this is a customer. Let's say this is a customer and this is a company. Okay. So I'm giving the name of is that is a customer, and this is the company. Okay. So the customer, let's say customer name is A and the company name is B. Okay. Now what will happen? The customer has requested to make a software by that B company. Okay. So then what will happen? The the company's BA. Okay. The company's BA will take the requirement from the customer. Okay. This is the company's BA. The company's BA will take the requirement from the customer. Let's say, as I have already told you that customers are when we'll go for the prototype model, when the customers are new to the business or new to the market. Okay. Suppose the customer now the customer will give some requirement to the to that company's BA. Let's say customer has given the how it will like. So the customer A, the customer will give some requirement like 100% requirement has given to the 100% requirement has given to the that BA. Now as per customer points of view, okay, as they are new to the business, they want to give the 100% requirement, but they can't. they 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 can give you maximum, let's say 80% of requirement. 80% of requirement they have given. Now what will be the left 20%? So that 20% requirement will business analyst assume. Okay. Now 20% requirements BA assume by their own, and they will document that. Okay. So now then what will happen? Then the BA will came back to the company, and after came back to the company, they will explain, the BA will explain to that requirement, the documented requirement, with their technical team, with their technical technical team, with the technical team. So they will discuss. So what is happening here? The companies, one company B is requested to make a software by the customer. One customer A is requested to the request one software to build for the company B. Okay. Now the company's BA, who is the company's BA, they will contact with the customer. Okay. Now customer is wanted to give you the 100% requirement, but as the customer is the new to the market or new to the business, they can't give you the 100% requirement. They can give you the, let's say, maximum 80% of requirement. Then extra 20% of requirement the company's BA will assume by their own. Now the BA will come back to the company and they will discuss that documented requirement with the technical team. Okay. So now as per the BA's document, what will happen? Our developer will develop that software. Okay. Our test engineer will test that software. Now, after completing all these things, finally the software will be go for the release. Means we have to release that software to the customer. Then what will do the customer? What will do the customer? The customer will directly reject that build, reject the software, because 20% requirement has BA assumed, but that is not the client requirement. Client has given the 100% requirement, but as the client is new to the market, so he can't give you the exact of 100% requirement. They will able to give you the 80% of requirement, and 20% requirement business analyst assume by their own. So what is the end of the last day? When you release the software, the customer will reject that product or software, cause the software is not as per the customer requirement. The software is not developed as per the customer requirement. Okay. So for this case, we will go for the prototype model. So what will be the advantage of that? If we go for the prototype model, first we will create a prototype design and development. So then we will do the testing, and then we will send that to the customer. If customer is satisfied, then we will go for the main software design development, like etc etc etc. So that is the main reason why we go for the prototype model, or why choose the prototype model. Okay. So this is the phase of the prototype model. Everything is clear, I think. So is that clear for you? Okay. So now I'll go for the next step. So phases of prototype model is done. Now the advantages of the prototype model. So the first advantages of the prototype model is that, what is the first advantages? The first advantage is that we can give a high expectation for that customer. We can give the high expectation of the customer, because at the very first level we are giving the prototype model to the customer, where they can easily see that how the software will looks like, right? So what is the first point advantage? The advantage first one is that we can give a high expectation set for the customer. Okay. Now what is the second point? Users are actively involved in development. Therefore, error can be detected in the initial stage of software development process. So as initially we are building the prototype model, so if any errors are there in the initial state, so easily we can detect that errors. Okay. What is the third point? Missing functionality can be identified because of this prototype model, which helps to reduce the risk of failure, as prototyping is also considered as a risk reduction activity. Why prototype model is considered as a risk reduction activity, because the missing functionality can be identified, which help us to reduce the risk of failure, as prototyping is also considered as a reduction activity. Okay, so what is the next point? It is a straightforward model. So we can see that it is a very straightforward model. First requirement collection, then feasibility study, then design, then prototype testing, customer review. So there is no complex design. It's a very straightforward design. Okay, and very easy to understand. What is the next point? No need for specialized experts to build that model. There is no need for any specialized expert. Okay. The next point is that the prototype helps to gain a better understanding of the customer needs. Why? Because in that prototype model, we are making one prototype design for the customer, right? So before the main design, we are submitting our prototype design to the customer, where they can review, they can check their requirements. So that's why the prototype helps to gain a better understanding to the customer needs. Okay, and the next point is that we can say that before the main development of the software, before starting the main development of the software, customer can easily see the software's look and feel. Because in the initial model, or in the prototype model, what we'll do first, we'll do the text format to the image format converting. So as we are converting the text format to the image format, so that's why at the very initial phase, so the client can see the software look and feel, how the software will look in the future. It will be it will be the best software in the market or not. So like that, they can easily see the look and feel. Okay, and the next advantage, we can say that the customer or we can change the requirements. We can change the requirements. Requirement changes is allowed, because at the very first, we are giving the dummy model to the customer. So that's why if anything is there, suppose we have make a one prototype design. We have make one prototype design. Now, if anything is needed to change, if any requirement is changing there, so we can easily change that, because we are giving the dummy model to the customer. So that's why requirement change is allowed. No problem at all. So the main so I can say you that the main advantage is that the requirement changes can allowed in this prototype model. Okay. So this is the main advantage of the prototype model. Now, what is the disadvantage of the prototype model? Prototype model is a very slow and time taking process. Very slow and time taking process. Why? Because we are not directly go for the requirement collection, feasibility study and design, then coding, then testing. We are not follow that. For that prototype model, we are designing and development one of the prototype, then we have to go for the prototype testing, then we have to go for the customer review. So that's why it's a very slow and time taking process. The next point is that the cost of developing a prototype is total waste. The cost of the developing a prototype is total waste, because the prototype is ultimately thrown away at the last. When the prototype model is done, when the main design is done, then we have to throw away this prototype design. So there is no need of that. So that's why the cost of developing a prototype is total waste, because it's a prototype model we will not use in the future. So that's why we are making the main design, coding, testing, installation, everything is there. Okay, so the cost of the developing is a prototype is a total waste, as the prototype is ultimately thrown away. Okay, the next disadvantage is that sometimes customer may not be willing to participate in the iteration cycle for the longer time duration. So as this is a very long time process, so sometimes customer can join, can participate their iteration cycle. The next point is that there may be for too many variations in software requirements when each time prototype is evaluated by the customer. So each and every time there is many variation is there, because I have already told you the requirement changes are allowed. So they can change their requirement. So as per the requirement, we have to again each and every time we have to make the prototype, right? So that is a disadvantage. Now, poor documentation, because of the requirements of the customers are changing. It's a very difficult for the software developer to accommodate all the changes demand by the clients. Sometimes what's happened, suppose we have design or we have development one prototype model, and suddenly customer has changes the requirement, then we have to again redesign and redevelopment the prototype. So like that, it's a very critical way, it's a very critical situation, difficult situation. So to software, for software developers to accommodate all the changes demanded by the clients. Okay, now next point, after seeing an early prototype model, the customer may think that the actual product will be delivered him soon, because we have designed or we have development the prototype model and we have sent that to the customer. As I have already told you that prototype model is a dummy model. So we can see only the look and feel here, because there is no coding. They have only, our developer, web developer will only change the text format to the image format for the look and feel purpose. So as seeing the look and feel purpose, the customer may think that the customer can get the software very fast, or we can deliver the software very fast. Okay, so but not in the reality, that is not be possible, because we have to implement lots of things is there. That's why after seeing an early prototype model, the customer may think that the actual product will be delivered to him soon. And the last point is, the last disadvantage is that the client or customer may lose interest in the final product when he or she is not happy with the initial prototype. Suppose we are making the text format to the image format. Now, after seeing that image format, the customer may lose their interest, because if our web developer will give the worst prototype model and the design is not looking good, the look and feel is not looking good, so that time the customer may lose their interest, right? So this is the main thing. So as we already know that our first impression is the last impression. So if the client or if a customer see that the prototype model is not looking good or the prototype design is not looking good, that's why customer may lose their interest. So this is the most crucial disadvantage. So that's why every time we have to make the look and feel very good. For the prototype design, we have to make that very good, or very best, that customer for that customer can hold their interest, okay, in future. So that is the thing, that is the disadvantage. So now so now I hope you guys are clear what is the SDLC prototype model. When we go for the prototype model, what is the phases of prototype model, how the prototype model works, and the advantage of the prototype model and disadvantage of the prototype model. Okay, so that is all about the prototype model. So if you guys have any question, please comment me. And if you guys like my video, then obviously one thumbs up and subscribe to my channel EduPaat, or press the bell icon so you can get the testing related videos update very fast. So see you in the next lecture. Thank you.